All right, so we're a few days into ownership on the M2 and got this thing on the lift again, and gonna go ahead and add a couple things to it. Main thing that I already hit on, I wanted to get the Zun Sport grills on this bad boy early because this thing is just wide open up front, just asking for a rock chip. Also gonna hit their oil cooler guard grill and help protect that oil cooler that is pretty exposed to the road. We've got the suite of things here: oil cooler grill, outer grill, left, right, the center grill, and then also we have these new pieces that we're about to test out as a prototype piece that are for the fender liners. They got a fender liner grill in the works. We've been working with them on. That goes back here where those little louvers are. When you lower the car or add spacers, the scrub radius of the wheel like extend out. So they make contact with these louvers, tear the louvers up. That's a pretty big nuisance. So these Zun Sport fender liner grills are going to help increase that clearance and set the protection, the grill area, back a little bit. It'll make a little bit more sense as we dive in and get the fender liners out. We'll see how that process goes. Looking forward to getting those on. But first, before we add anything to the car, I wanted to get a baseline weight of the car. So I've got the scales out, car's on a lift, about to check this thing out, see what it weighs. I do have a full tank of gas in it. Let's see where it lands. I'm not exactly sure where it lands. My guess is 38 something. Let's see what happens. 38.49 with a full tank.
Damn, boy, he's thick.
Not light. We know weight was a factor in the GT More project, as that thing was a bit over 3,900 pounds with driver. So that means as this G87 currently sits, it's going to typically be a bit over 4,000 pounds with driver on track. 38.49, our baseline starting point for this project. We'll see what kind of weight we get out of this. We'll certainly do a few weight cutting measures, but the core of this project is to keep it a dual purpose car, not go insane with an insanely stripped, gutted car. I want this thing to still be fun to drive on the street. So we'll see where we land, but now time to get these babies installed. All right, these front grills should be pretty easy to install, hopefully. They all go in from the front and all have these little clips. You may have to bend the clips a little bit to get them in the region that you want. This is the, depending on how you look at the car, right from the front, but the left side as you're sitting in the car. Outer center grill, I guess you could say. But we're going to bend this one forward a little bit because it needs to catch up in here, and then take a screwdriver and push on these a little bit to make sure they get seated in place. Start by hooking the one side, and then you push the clip into place on the other. That's that. Next, and of course, be careful to not scratch up your front end. Now it's at the center. Now let's hit the outers. All right, make sure all of the spots are fully secured. All right, that feels massively better and more protected, and that was a simple install. That was super quick, super easy. Let's go ahead and knock out the underside and hit this oil cooler grip. All right, this one should be pretty straightforward as well. I need to pop this screw out, and then there are two screws that are included with this system that get screwed in here and here into the back here. All right. All right, this car, these are 10 mil. 2 little screws just right into the plastic. Don't ever torque and strip these things. But that was pretty easy. Now we've got this thing protected from all the road grime, debris, whatever you may run over. Hopefully you don't run over anything, but oil cooler is now protected, which just feels so much better. Front end is all protected. Now let's mess with the fender liners. All right, so you can see how all these little louvers are protruded out. And the goal of these fender liner grills that we're gonna put in are to cut this out, and then we're going to put a grill behind it that's gonna be much further recessed to gain more clearance when that wheel goes lock to lock. All right, you can see pretty straightforward that this goes here once we cut this out. So I'm gonna use some snips and just start chopping along. All right, that's out. I'm gonna work on buffing these a little bit, clean these up, just for a little bit cleaner install. All right, that's looking pretty good, pretty clean. Now let's work on installing this bad boy. All right, now set this thing on, hook this side into there, get it squared up, and do each hole one by one. You need to drill into the plastic and then put your bolts in. All right, hardware may change, but gonna use some body nuts and body screws to put these things on. All right, that's better. So yeah, that's pretty sweet. Now, all that space that was right here taken up by the factory louver area, it's now back here, and that's gonna go up against the cooler and give us more clearance for lock to lock, adding spacers, lowering the car, whatever, so we don't beat up the fender liners. All right, got this fender liner back in and it's looking pretty good. That is a ton of additional clearance. You know, one thing I actually didn't mention earlier is that the GT4s also use the same stock fender liners, but with that louver area cut out, and they put some mesh behind. So also a tip note method that BMW used to accomplish this same type of thing, as they're putting those big wide tires on there to help improve the clearance. So interested in the full suite of Zun Sport stuff for your car? We've got a ton of different applications, not just G87. So make sure to check it out at bimmerworld.com. As always, hit that like button, leave a comment, be sure to subscribe for more.
You ready to go? Should be an awesome race weekend. We are ready to kill it this year. It's good. It's going to be a wild ride.